Hi there, it's Miss Marple time. Last time that I did this, I ranked all the Perrault novels, and I felt like that got a pretty decent response. So here I am today. We're going to do it again. We're going to talk about Miss Jane Marple, who is another one of those quintessential Agatha Christie detectives who I really like. I am at heart a Perrault person over a Marple person, but I still really like Miss Marple. Let's not get confused. I would love to be an old woman described as pink and fuzzy who is really good at solving crimes. Honestly, my goal for old age. So Miss Marple is pretty different than Perrault, quite obviously, because she is not a detective. She is just a smart old lady who lives in a village called St. Mary Mead. She does not use the tiny gray cells to solve her mysteries. She instead uses the ability to know human character and to know human nature and to use that knowledge and like anecdotes from village life to solve her murders, which is really different from Perrault's methodology. Miss Marple is pretty different in her first appearance versus later. We'll get to that. She starts a little meaner, she gets a lot nicer. The only main family member that comes up is Raymond West and then his wife, who I really like, Joyce. So that's Miss Marple in a nutshell. So first book, Murder at the Vicarage. So The Murder at the Vicarage is 1930, so it's very early Agatha Christie. In this one, Colonel Porthereau is murdered and he is found in the vicar's study. The vicar had previously said like, someone should kill that guy. So obviously he becomes a suspect in the murder, but Miss Marple, our friendly busybody, knows better. She is not the point of view character in our first Miss Marple novel. The vicar is, and he's a fun mind to inhabit. I enjoyed living in his point of view. The solution on this one, I did not quite get right, but it wasn't one of my favorite solutions. I felt like this one was kind of complicated. I like the solutions a little bit more when you read it and you're like, oh, yeah, duh, obviously. And you've just missed so many of the little hints and little clues and it didn't stand out to you. And then it's revealed and you think, oh, yeah, that's how it happened. This one, I didn't think that at the end. So if I am ranking, it's a low A, almost a B, really, but it's where you start your Miss Marple journey. So if I'm going to continue on the same kind of ranking point of view I did with Perrault, where S and A are the essential reading, you should read it. B is I'm a fan, you should read it. C is and then everything else, like, don't bother with. If we're going with that point of view, then I would say that this is an A because you should read it. And I think some people like this one more than I do. Number 2, The Body in the Library. So we'll notice a big time gap between this one. The other one was written in 1930. This was 1942. So Christie is 12 years a better author at this point. I think that is to the benefit of the character of Miss Marple. I think that Christie had a better idea of who she was planning to write about. We get to go to a seaside hotel, which is something I really like. I am a big believer in vacation Marple. Love when she goes somewhere else that is not St. Mary Mead. So when she is like relating things back to village life, it kind of seems out of left field. It has nothing to do with the place where she's at. And yet she somehow is able to figure out something about human nature, which helps her solve the case. And she doesn't quite go on vacation here. So this isn't full vacation Marple. This is sort of more like Village Marple meets Vacation Marple. That doesn't make any sense, but maybe it will later. The point being that I don't know if you're going to agree with my list if you're a Village Marple fan as opposed to a Vacation Marple fan. So I don't think this is an A. I think it is a B. I think if you are a fan of Christie and a fan of Miss Marple, this is a perfectly adequate read. You will enjoy it. It's good for fans. The reason I short shift it a little bit is that if you're going for Village Marple, this is the best Village Marple, The Moving Finger. To me, this is an S. I'll go ahead and give away the ending there. This is essential reading for Miss Marple. You are in Village Marple mode, and you're in the small town of Limstock. And there is this anonymous hate mail, and it's like cyberbullying, potentially. The reason some people might not like this one is because Miss Marple is not heavily featured. It's the same problem a lot of people have with Cat Among Pigeons, where Perrault shows up at the very end to solve the case. This one is sort of similar. You're missing out a lot on Miss Marple. But as somebody who enjoys her standalone detective novels pretty much as I enjoy any of her detectives, I'm fine with that. I'm good to go for a ride with Christie wherever she's taking me. And, if Miss Marple or Perot shows up at the end, all the better. But if not, I can enjoy that too. And I found the point of view characters really fun in this one. I like the solution. It made sense. I read it at the end and I thought, yes, obviously that makes so much sense, which is the thing I want to be thinking at the end. So it's clever is what I'm getting at, and you shouldn't miss it. A murder is announced. Okay, this one is from 1950. It's a bit of a time jump again. We've got 7 years, and it's kind of weird, if I'm being honest with you. The hidden identities and how we get to the solution, it's a little convoluted for me. There's going to be a murder at Little Paddocks. It's said in the newspaper. It's announced. The murder is announced. This is very confusing, apparently, to Miss Blacklock? But Miss Blacklock she's surprised about, apparently, this murder that's going to happen at her house. This is one where the murder would have been probably better suited to have just not murdered anyone, and probably things wouldn't have unraveled the way that they did. This is maybe one where a bribe would have been wiser than a straight up murder. There we are. There was a murder, and it was announced, and it was good. It's a solid entry into the Miss Marple canon. I don't think that you should miss it if you'd like it. It's not an A, though. It's a B. It's a solid B. They do it with mirrors. Okay, this is where my run is going to get a little meaner, isn't it? She is visiting a friend at a rehabilitation center from childhood. I like that it goes so much into Miss Marple's childhood because we get so much of old Miss Marple. It's kind of nice to get a flavor of maybe what younger Miss Marple is like. So those are the positives. It takes place at a rehabilitation center for adolescents, so there are lots of good suspects. That's fun. That's about what I can say for it. Is it a C? I feel mean giving it a C so quickly. Yeah, this one is probably a C for me. Oh gosh, okay. I think this is the last one where I'm mean. This is also a C. I didn't like it. It is convoluted. It is weird. It is not compelling to me. It's not bad. I think I may have read a review of it. It's cold might be the best way to describe it. So this is A Pocketful of Rye. It's from, when is it from? 1953. Someone dies. They've got a pocketful of rye. It's based on a poem. I prefer Hickory Dickory Dock, I think, on the Perot side of nursery rhyme-based Agatha Christie's. It just doesn't feel like a real way anyone would go about committing a murder. So for me, it's a C. And now I don't have the book. This is one that I lent to my mother recently. She was in a book club and she had to read a book about a train. So here I gave her From Paddington, which is from 1957. And this is my favorite Miss Marple. So it's an S for me. It's got this great premise of this woman's looking out of a train window and she sees a murder happen as the trains are passing each other. And you can't go to a police station and be like, I saw a murder on a train and I don't know what train it was at this time and there's no evidence and there's no body. So obviously that's where you call in Miss Marple if you know Miss Marple. That makes perfect sense. Sometimes with Miss Marple's, you're reading it and you're like, the police are all kind of okay with her being a busybody. I just don't know how that would really work most of the time. But here, no one believes that a crime has even been committed. So Miss Marple getting involved kind of makes a lot more sense. I can see the justification for her being there. And then it goes into some of my favorite Christie tropes, which is kind of like the decrepit rich person location that's decrepit now. And things are falling apart and I can't give too much away. I don't want to give too much away. I'm not going to give anything away. So I'm going to leave it at that. And it's an S, and you should read it. The Mirror Cracked from Side to Side. This is from 1962. And this is where I learned to stop worrying and just love the Marple, love the chaos. And this could not possibly have happened. And the murder couldn't have happened this way. And who would murder someone this way? I let that all go. And I just went along for the ride. And I had so much fun in this one. This is not a well-regarded Miss Marple novel, I don't think. It's never ranked well. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I liked the premise. I like the idea of famous mother and disaster within their family, I guess. I think I just get along well when there's kind of this like mother who has all this issue. But yeah, this one is not my favorite, but it is enjoyable to me. I was maybe a little thinking I was not going to enjoy Miss Marple novels as much as I thought I would. And then this kind of redeemed it for me. Also, it has Cherry, who I really like, who is this housekeeping character for Miss Marple. And I love Cherry. And she shows up in Nemesis too. But I had more fun reading this one than A Pocket Full of Fry. And they do it with mirrors. So I think this one is a solid B. It's almost an A for me, but I think because it is a little convoluted and a little weird, it's a B. It's for people who enjoy the genre. That's my ranking for that. And then we move on to my one random A that I'm allowed to have that probably no one else would give an A. It's this one, A Caribbean Mystery. I really liked this one. So her nephew Raymond pays for her to go to the Caribbean for her rheumatism, because she's old. And this random major guy shows her a picture and he's like, I have a picture here of a murderer. And then he doesn't show her the picture. And then he gets murdered. And so she has to try and find the picture. It's such a random book. It really is, but I like it so much. Just vibes for me. I am excited to be in the Caribbean with Miss Marple. I enjoy that part of it. I it's the same way I feel about Poirot when he's off like in Petra or he's off in Egypt. I just want us to go to another location outside of England and have some fun. And that's what this gave me. So it's an A. And then this is going to be my most controversial good review. The plot is a C, to establish this now. The plot is a C. The vibes are like S for me. I love this so much, the vibes. The idea of Miss Marple at Claridge's, basically, which is this really fancy hotel in London. And it's like the Grand Budapest Hotel almost. It's all, the Grand Budapest Hotel, by the way, is my favorite movie from the modern era. And this reminds me of that too. So from an aesthetic pleasure, this is an S. From a plot standpoint, it's a C. It's not good plot. Do you give it an A for that, or do you let it be the B it deserves? Probably. It's a B. If you like old ladies at fancy places, I think you will like this though. So I'm going to say it's a B. For me, personally, it's an A. Like I've reread it and had a good time. Nemesis. Nemesis is from 1971, and this one is Miss Marple being sent a case from Mr. Raphael from this novel. He's introduced here. It continues here. Read both. And this one is like a great Miss Marple character study. It is great at marpling, is I think the way that one should describe it. She is solving things onto intuition. She's doing her like, I know human character thing. From a plot standpoint, it falls a little bit into that same pattern that a lot of Agatha Christie's later works do, where it's just not as tight as it used to be, as we're used to. You can tell her age a little bit, I guess, in the writing style. Or maybe she's just written so darn many of these. It feels a little weaker. It's a little less surprising. What it makes up for that, I think, is in the genuine love and understanding of Miss Marple that Christie has really fully realized, I think, in Nemesis Plus. Cherry's in this one, who I love. So this is an A, and I think if you're thinking of Miss Marple as a final case, this is actually the one that she wrote last of Miss Marple, and I think it functions really well as a Miss Marple final case, as opposed to The Sleeping Murder. So this is published after Christie's death. She did this with Curtain too, where she had it kind of pre-written. So when she died, there was supposed to be a satisfying conclusion to the character. It was written in the 40s though, and it doesn't feel conclusive to the Marple that we have gotten to know over the last few books. It's an attempt sort of that same Five Little Pigs thing, which I don't even remember what I ranked that last time, but pretty much everyone said I should have ranked it higher. So it is really good. I love Five Little Pigs. And this one is trying to do a similar conceit of digging up the past. And I guess Elephants Can Remember is also that way. I think it airs more on the Elephants Can Remember side versus the Five Little Pigs side though, where it's not that compelling for me. I don't really call this one Miss Marple's final case. I feel like this is. And you can read it. It's a B. It's good for the fans, but I just don't think that it's the send-off to Miss Marple that maybe like Miss Marple's last case would imply to you. Which concludes us with her short story collection. And I don't like short stories that much. They're hard for me to rank. I think Miss Marple is stronger than Perot when it comes to short stories. I really like the 13 problems that's in here. A couple of them are kind of weak, but I think overall it's a good short story collection. I think it's a good conceit. Her nephew Raymond's in it, and I like when he's around. Yeah, it's moderately good. It's fun. The other ones are funnier than Perot's are, I think. Probably it's a B. Read it if you want it. It's not as bad as the way I feel about Perot's, where I'm almost passionately against short story collections, except for a few. So this one I think is better than Perot's, so it's a B. Yeah, let's go with it's a B. Anyway, that's the ranking, as you can see. Let me know if you want me to rank Tommy and Tuppence or Superintendent Battle next. It would be, I guess, a pretty short video. Could I do all the standalones too? That it would be a really long video. And I would need to probably refresh myself a little bit on the standalones, because those have been a little bit more interspersed reading. But yeah, that's me on Miss Marple. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think. And I think next time we will be grappling with Great Expectations. So join me for that, and I'll see you next time. Bye.